Doop, doody doody doo. Hello, everybody. My name is Rodgon. I am an artist, and today we will be drawing. So, as always, I like to start my streams by talking about what we talked about last time. So, last time we talked a lot about faces, and we talked about lips, and we talked about heads, and perspective, and how to draw noses, and how to draw characters with those same things. How different levels of skill and what gaps you need to bypass to be able to get to what you need to achieve later on if you want to get better, and what mindset to have if you want to get better. Then we drew some stuff from reference, and we drew a bunch of eyes, and as always, we just emphasize a lot of perspective and anatomy. So that was a really fun night. The last couple nights, we've learned a lot. Like, we have been devastatingly, filling this sketchbook, it's like a page a day, just answering questions and stuff. And it's just been fantastic. Do I have a Twitch? Aha! That is one good thing. I do have a Twitch, and I eventually will be streaming on Twitch. Instead of on TikTok, instead of on YouTube, instead of on everywhere else, I want to stream on Twitch. But I need to build an audience. So, when I have to build an audience, I need to reach out to other platforms first and then funnel everybody into the eventual funnel that I want for my streaming, which will be Twitch. Forgot your name. Oh no, he forgot my name. What's my name, boy? My name is Rodgon, and I am an artist. And I keep reminding myself I'm an artist so that I can make sure that I never forget that. Regardless of when I feel like I'm a failure, when I feel like I'm not doing enough. I called myself Rodgon the artist in college, not to be overly duh, you're an artist, but it was more so to remind myself not to quit, and that it was like a baby commitment to myself, just telling myself, Rodgon, you're an artist. Rodgon, you're an artist. Put it in your email, Rodgon the artist. Business cards, Rodgon the artist. Everything was Rodgon the artist. Because I needed... Maybe I'm great now. Maybe you guys think I'm great now. But back then, that wasn't the case. I was very much so struggling with very basic skills. And I was at the bottom of the totem pole in my classes. Skill-wise, I was by far... In my school, I was the least talented person in there when I started school. Easily. I had no business being there. But I loved it. And, when people tell me I can't do something, I'ma fucking do it. I'm a stubborn son of a gun. And my mom raised a very stubborn man. There are a lot of things I'm very good at. A lot of things I'm very bad at. But when the things that I'm good at, are also a passion, then, oh my God, I become amazing at it. And that has happened with only a handful of things in my life. Not saying I'm fantastic, amazing at everything. Of course not. Not everybody's going to be an ace of everything, right? But to share a little bit of my life with you all, I'm going to partake in filling up my sketchbook, first of all, and then sharing a little bit of my life with you guys. Since I share a lot of this information on Instagram, don't think that I'm sharing this and I got to keep it secret. I'm a very open person in my life. I like people understanding what normal artist that lives off his art is, doing or, capable of. So that people actually understand that you can make a living with your art. Instead of just thinking that maybe it's a dream pipeline, it's not. You can very easily make a living with your art if you follow certain steps that will, guide you towards being able to do so. So I share a lot of stories about my life, and they're normally like guidelines to like what not to do or what to do. And today we are going to talk about making friends again because um as an adult, I think I had my first friend date tonight. It was with a dude that was he lives in my like apartment complex, and um him and his wife are super cool, like just cool people, and they've wanted to be friends with me for a while. So today we decided to go get a beer, and we went to go play pool a little bit at the local bar. And it was interesting as an adult going out and like just having food with someone you've never talked to. So it was interesting. They didn't know anything about me. So they didn't know that I was an artist. They didn't know that I was, anything like that. So it was really interesting to see their faces when you explain to them what you do for a living. Uh, you normally get either one of two reactions. Either you get a reaction in which a person's like, "Oh my God, you're an artist? That's amazing. Oh, I did art when I was in college." Blah, 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 blah. And then you get the other people that are like, "Oh, so you're unemployed." That automatically assume like that just because you're a designer or an artist, you are not like capable of having an adult life. So you get that a lot. And it's very interesting when it comes down to dating as well. Like when you date and like you don't tell people you are like a lawyer, like women sometimes look down on you like, "Oh, you're just a designer?" So it's like it's very interesting because they assume that you're not doing well because the stigma of the starving artist is so like propagated everywhere, right? Like, "Oh, if you're an artist, you're gonna starve." Nah, 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 nah. If you're an artist and you can create things, you have a magical power, and there's no freaking way you're going to starve. Okay? Because people that create, that genuinely create, and they do it with a passion and they love doing so, will will be sought out by people like me. Like I have found a few like awesome apprentices that I've just taken on because I feel that they have so much passion for what they do. So, and I don't charge them. I don't ask for absolutely anything. I just want to see them succeed. Right? And that's why I do all these streams all the time. Like if you guys ever wonder why is this guy doing this? Like one reason that I'm going to explain this to you guys because there was a very annoying comment that somebody did this last week. And it said, are you even making money with this? Maybe you should quit and follow your instincts." I found that to be the most condescending comment I have received in a very long time. Not just because the person assumes that I might not be making money with what I do, but also, more importantly, the fact that he thinks that I'm regretting the fact that I did art. Which is, if I had a glove to challenge you to a duel, mister, bah, bah. Um, yeah. So that's the most insulting thing you can possibly ask someone in like two sentences. So, yeah, like I don't understand. But because of that, you know, let me explain to you why I do this. Okay? Let me explain to you why I started streaming and why I started teaching on YouTube and all that nonsense. When I was in college, there was one teacher, one single teacher. His name was Bob Hannon. He used to work in animation, and he used to work, I think he just did some animation on the side and stuff. I don't think he ever like was like a huge name or anything. But it wasn't his skills that had me like change my life. It was the way that he told me how to improve. Okay? The man took 30 seconds or like maybe like a minute out of his day to take me aside one day and ask me why I was struggling so much. He noticed that I was struggling and he took me aside and he asked me, like, why are you struggling so much? And I couldn't answer. I was like, I just don't know what we're drawing. I don't know how to draw anything. Like, what I was drawing back then was like, I was drawing little ducks that had like beaks, like triangles. And then I used to give them like attitudes like, oh, this guy's like a pothead. Bah. He has a cigar. Like, not even this cool. This is too cool for like that. Like, there was nothing close to this. But that was the type of drawings that I was doing. So I was not like by any means good at all. I just love the idea of doing art. So I try to accelerate the process, and it just like I was forcing it, and it was so hard. But this teacher, like, literally took me aside and was like, okay, I'm going to help you. I am going to give you a couple things that if you do these, you will be at the same level as everyone else. He's like, everyone that attempts to do this fails. Apparently, in his eyes, every single person that did that would fail. But it's giving you like a fighting chance to catch up to someone that has a lot of skill. That was to literally draw so much that you built your mental library massively really quick. And let me tell you how that went about. Okay? It started with him being so gracious to gift me a 200-page sketchbook. One of those big fat sketchbooks they used to sell at Borders. Boom, boom, boom. It was a gigantic sketchbook, right? And he was like, he had a beard and curly hair. So he gave me this sketchbook and he offered me a challenge. He was, fill this out in 2 weeks. 200 pages in 2 weeks. So if we do the math real quick, each week you got to do 100 pages. Okay? So that divided by 7, and it's about what, like 17? No, like 12 pages a day? I don't know, something like that. Okay? So it's like 12, 13 pages a day. Entire pages of sketchbooks. Imagine if this, doing 13 of these a day, right? Very quickly, you run out of things to draw. I think I broke something. Well, very quickly, you just run out of things to draw. Period. Like, you will draw a blank, like, immediately. Like, within the first day, you'll be like, oh my God. Ah, what am I going to draw next? No. Because all the things that you have in your mind at that point are very limited. You know, when you start, just don't have anything in your brain. Okay? So you don't have anything. You're like blank because you have no mental library. Your mental library has like a couple designs. It has like a style, like an anime looking eye, maybe. Like, I know how to draw eyes like that. And that's like part of your, like, you know, style so far. Wow. And then you know how to draw Mickey Mouse hands. So that's part of your style so far. Okay? That's all part of your mental library. As you get better, you start adding different elements like perspective, shading, elements like eyes, and stuff like that start coming from those elements, right? You start evolving by learning how things are made, and then eventually you can come back to that same style, but you will come back to it without having to think of it as a style. and you'll think about it more as another repurpose of your knowledge, something that you have like learned how to create and not necessarily just copy. Okay, same thing for hands. You know, you might start with Mickey Mouse hands, and then you start like adding the extra finger. You know, and then from there you start going into the knuckles. But until you learn this, you can't really learn this, right? So if you don't know how to draw a nice little cartoon hand, it's going to be very hard to draw an actual real hand. And if you can't draw a real hand, you're not going to know how to pose the hand. You're not going to know how to bend the fingers. You're not going to know how to like position it because you don't know how it's built. So you're just going to be copying things until you realize that you need to learn that. So all that is part of your mental library. That is what this man force fed me in the first 2 weeks of this exercise. So I had to do 12 pages a day, 12, 13 pages a day. And if I missed a page, I had to make it up the next day. Okay? So this went on for about a month. So I did 2 of these. The first time that I turned mine in, he literally grabbed it and then tossed it in the trash can. And then he gave me another one, and he was like, he didn't even look at it. He was like, blah, that was round 1. That's garbage. You draw better now. Here's the second sketchbook. Do it again. Okay, so I was, first of all, incredibly mad because that was the first sketchbook that I ever finished. I was like, what the fuck? I was so incredibly mad, and I didn't understand what the purpose of this was yet. I didn't understand it. Like, I was just literally drawing everything. And then he just gave me like stacks of like references from different artists, from different, different plants, different birds. He told me to go on Pinterest and look at body parts and faces and facial expressions. Those 14 pages went really quickly the second time around. They want how to learn how to be really fast, really quick, and very good, very quick. That's what we're talking about. This whole conversation at the beginning will be on YouTube later, probably tomorrow. So if you missed out, don't worry. You'll still have a chance to listen to it. Just continue listening, and then I'll like kind of catch everybody up. Okay? So your mental library is everything that you've learned so far, combined. Okay? Everything you've learned so far is your mental library. Now, when you start, you don't really have much. So you have to kind of force feed it in order to grow it and expand it. So what I had to do when I was in college, I kept on doing these 200-page sketchbooks in about 2 weeks and then just ended up drawing absolutely everything. Okay? Everything. And I did these constantly every single time that I needed to get better at something. So I kind of just like threw myself into learning mode, and then it would be like, okay, this 200-page sketchbook is going to be just eyes. I just really need to learn how to draw eyes. And then I would draw the entire sketchbook of just eyes. And by the end of it, how many pages a day? That's 14 pages a day. 2 big wieners touching tips. Okay, 2 big wiener dogs touching tips. Oh. There you go. You dirty man. You shall not corrupt this stream. Okay, so there's... So, no, it wasn't easy at all. It was not easy. I was literally drawing all day. When I went to the bathroom to take a poop, I would draw there. When I was taking transportation everywhere, I would ask other people to drive so that I could draw. If I was waiting in line for coffee, I would literally just have my sketchbook and just try to draw people in front of me, the coffee, the plants, the room, anything. Absolutely anything. If I didn't know what to draw, I just looked around for the first object I didn't know how to draw, and then I drew that. So I started focusing on the things that I was bad at, and then drew that intensely until I could draw it okay, and then I drew it again until I could do it better, and then I drew it again and again and again and again and again and again until it was just like absolutely like sunk into my brain, and then I could move on. There was no expectations of the drawings. No one was going to see this. And for all I knew, he was going to do the same thing that he did with the first one and just throw it in the garbage. So I wasn't even I was just like literally like, okay, circle, 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 circle. The eye consists of 4 circles. Okay. If you add little gradients at the last side of the circle, then you get this. I was focused so much on copying what people did down to the last little lines that I didn't know what this was. I didn't know that this was a sphere with a pupil going in with the color iris there, and then the light was the highlight, was just a reflection of the light that was hitting it. I didn't know any of that. I did not know this was a sphere, first of all. I could not tell you how to divide this into a sphere back then. But I was incredibly good at copying what people drew. Okay? So that hindered me for years because I got very good at drawing the things that I knew how to draw. And I learned how to copy other people's styles very quickly. But that hit a gap. That hit a huge gap because when I was drawing stylized, I didn't know what I was drawing, so therefore I couldn't take that further. So it was very hard for me to like turn a face around, right? Like having a character looking this way and then like turning it around was impossible for me because I didn't understand what I was drawing. Like spatially, that was just impossible for me to do. Okay? But now that you like when you start understanding how objects work in 3D and that the body shapes are complex shapes and not just simple shapes, you can draw them in any way you want because it doesn't become hard anymore because you've practiced them and it's just like breathing at one point. My weak point now is trying to get over my color blindness. I have red-green color blindness. So I need to work with colors and tones and push through on that color aspect because that is the biggest hindrance in my art. I don't do lettering, but that'd be fun. Like calligraphy and graffiti have always been like something that I enjoy. I'm just really bad at it. Like I just don't know how to like. I haven't dedicated enough time to like to doing it in a cooler way. But I can get away with like, you know, getting some cool versions of my name going. For me personally, my artwork gets very loose and sloppy. How do you think I could work on fixing it? Well, why is it loose and sloppy? Is it loose because you have it like sketchy? Or is it loose because you just don't finish it? And if you don't like how it looks, just stop drawing it. How do you work through color blindness? Let me explain to you how I have worked my way through having that very slight disability that kind of like a deterrent, honestly. Pantone numbers. I can identify. I used to be able to. Now I have a bunch of like saved like color picking like things that I use. So I have entire files where I have the gradients and the names of all the colors, and then whenever I need to color something, I bring up that file and then I just color pick it, and I know exactly what blends with what. But back in the day when I had to do things for like factories and like production, Pantone color numbers were my saving grace. And also my friend. I had a friend that we called Bamboo Colors because he was so good with colors. So I would just ask him really quickly, hey, what kind of green do you think this is? And he'd be like, oh, that's, lime green number, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, oh, shit, awesome. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Whee! And then I'd just write it down and I'd know that that logo for that person, for any future orders, would be the green Pantone number this. Boom. And then just write that down. And every single time I get that same color, I would just use that color. No, everything is not gray. How color blindness tends to work is that two colors kind of blend in together. So red and green tend to look very similar. So it's very difficult for me to tell browns dark browns, reds, and dark reds, and greens and dark greens from each other. So whenever it gets really mixed up, like you do in skin tones, because skin tones have a lot of green, blues, and they have like tans, and they have like a bunch of tints of every color, I can't see that properly. So it doesn't always come out good. Draw more. Don't tell me what to do, Mr. Seiji Reezy. I'll do whatever I want. It's my stream. I'm gonna take a sip of water now because you did that. Now you just neglected people from some knowledge because of that. Okay, don't tell me to draw. I'll draw whenever I want. Okay, shading. All right, let's do shading. Let's do a little bit on shading. So shading can be simplified into 3 steps, right? Okay, so we have shadows. Choopy, 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 choop. We have form shadows, cast shadows, and highlights. That is the 3 main elements that you have to know about lighting. Now, how do we apply this to different things? Well, you need to understand a little bit about perspective. Oh, who would have guessed it? The 2 main things of art once again collide. Perspective and something else. Oh no. What shall we do? Okay, we're going to learn how to do it, and that's what. Okay, so the first thing you do, you have your object, and you need to have a perspective plane if you want to have anything in perspective. So the first thing you do is just set a horizon point, set a point, and then just start drawing lines. Whee! And then just go and build off those lines. Like, any lines coming from that point will look good. Like, they don't have to be perfect. Now, from here, I know that if I draw a box within this area, it's going to be the same length as this one because it's the same height. I can make it taller. I can make it smaller. And it's always going to go back to that point. Okay? So, this basic premise of 3D and visualizing things like this is the very first step to getting good. Okay? If you don't see things like this yet, if you just are drawing like circles instead of spheres and visualizing them as spheres, you need to practice this. You need to do this more immediately before you keep on doing it wrong. Because this is going to give you a solid foundation for absolutely everything else that you'll ever have to draw. So master this. Practice this even when you're good. Practice doing this, okay? So perspective plane, and we have our elements. Now, we already dictated in this one, maybe the light source is coming from this direction. Okay? We'll keep the light source unified. In this case, we'll have it coming maybe from the back. So it's coming towards us. In this case, the light hits the top, so the light at the top would be nice and bright. The light on the sides would be a little bit dimmer, so you'd have a little bit of a shadow. You would also have a little shadow on the back because it would not hit the light. It would be blocked. That is going to cast a shadow on the ground. Depending on the angle of the light, you just go towards the top edge of your element, trace a line down to the grid, and now you have your shadow for that thing with the right angle for your light. If the light is coming from this direction, again, from this one. On a spherical object, since the light is hitting and it's bending around the object, you would get a bigger shadow towards the back. And you'd get a rim light because the light is bending around the shape. Okay? Because it's a 3D object. It's a spherical object. And then again, if you want to cast a shadow, follow the same direction of the light. If it's sunlight, it comes all from the same direction. If it's a spotlight, like a spotlight, it's going to fan out. but sunlight comes directly all from the same direction. So this is a nice little cheat when you're doing things outside, and you can make cast shadows and like everything really easy because you can just direct it with the light. Let's see what other little tips and tricks for lighting. Um, let's see. Let's just what difficult shapes come across when you're trying to shade something, right? So I guess cylinders would be a pain because they combine two elements. So you have like a roundness, and you have a stretchiness. So when you have light, let's again have it come from this direction. The light is going to hit the edge at the top because the light is hitting in this direction. So this is going to be light. And then you get the same type of rim lighting that you did with the sphere. So you go around and you just essentially just leave the rim lighting because everything else is being a shadow. And then try to just get the shadow lines and crosshatches to go around. It's just a good habit to have. Go around with the shape. It just makes it better. And again, the cast shadow can just be like follow the ends to the end of the grid, and then that's where your shadow would be. All right, what's the next thing? What should we draw next? We're running out of space though. So, come on. Come on, let me see. Similar to painting a tree. Yeah, essentially, it's exactly the same. And that works with everything. Like, if it works with things in perspective, it works with your characters. But, you know, this is impossible. Like, everything like this that I'm telling you guys, right, is going to be nearly impossible to understand if you can't practice doing this simple practice. Okay? Everything here that I teach is medicated on the fact that you guys can take a beanbag and subdivide the beanbag like this. If you guys can do this, you guys can draw absolutely everything in this page. Okay? If you can draw a little beanbag like this and imagine the lines going around it, if you can do this, you can draw absolutely everything I have drawn in everything I have ever done. This is the key to drawing awesome characters, because a beanbag can be a face. A beanbag can be a body. A beanbag can be an arm. Two beanbags, an arm with a shoulder, and then another beanbag gives you a shoulder and a forearm. The abs, another beanbaggy shape. The legs can also be the same thing. It's just elongated beanbags. Again, subdivided, it gives you everything you need to create those elements. So if you learn how to, an arm as well. An arm is just a beanbag as well, literally. Rawr, another little beanbag with another beanbag for the top. That's it. Like, fingers are literally beanbags too. Let me find some space. Okay, right here. Let's zoom in. Choop, 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 choop. A finger is just two linked beanbags together. That's all it is. One beanbag into another beanbag. And you have a finger, a perfect finger. That's all you need. That's all you need to learn. If you can learn how to draw that, you can learn to draw women. You can learn how to draw comics. You can learn how to draw letters. You can draw how to learn animals. You want a beanbag tree? Okay, let's draw a beanbag tree. Why not? Into another beanbag, and we have some, textures for the tree. Right? So you can draw anything from a beanbag. So I am working on creating a book that will explain how to do that. because I have literally like found that it's just incredibly simple. Everything is so much simpler if you are able to just visualize your objects, especially the beanbag shape, and are able to map it out like this. Your signature trademark. What is my signature trademark? I draw myself a lot. Whee! I draw myself a lot. I love my self drawing. Like, this was our first page for the sketchbook. So I guess that's my signature trademark. Just drawing myself. Thank you very much. Yeah, we have literally covered so much in just like a few pages of our sketchbook, man. Like, this is going to be an epic book. Like, I can't wait to just scan it and print it for you guys. That's going to be awesome. Okay, let's zoom in and then just like finish up this page. And I'm going to call it a night because I have my pool city finals tomorrow. And I got to get a good night's rest after working out a little bit. So, let's see. Boom, let's draw some more eyes. So when I'm drawing eyes like this, what I'm imagining is the whole eyeball and then just cutting a little slit into the eyeball. So I imagine the whole eye, and then I'm just imagining the eyelids going around the shape, around like a sphere, like the beanbag, going around the shape, and then you just cut out a little slit, and then you have a really cool eye. I was doing this when I was 10 years old. You know, maybe you are very, very, very talented and you're actually able to see that immediately at 10 years old. I congratulate you, man. Like, honestly, like, that's a fantastic thing to have. Like, not everybody can. You know, it took me forever. I wish that I would have had the ability to have that right away. But it took me like 20 something years to develop that. But after I learned how to do that, I exponentially put myself through the ringer to be able to put it to use. You know, it might seem like very simple things to a lot of you, though. You know, this is not necessarily like the most advanced teachings either, but they are solid foundations that if you find a joy for them, if you end up loving and enjoying what I teach and what I draw, odds are you're going to really love drawing and trying harder and practicing and being able to fulfill a lot of the things that other people just don't because it's boring. Okay? Like, a lot of people don't touch perspective because they think it's boring. They don't. They're like, oh my god, I don't want to draw buildings. I don't want to draw backgrounds. Why do I need to draw perspective? Why do I need to learn perspective? I don't need to draw. It's not about backgrounds. Everything has perspective. A body has perspective. A nose has perspective. A finger has perspective. Okay, so it has perspective. Everything, animals, lips, eyes. No matter how stylized it is, it has perspective. And if you don't have that in your drawings and you just don't do it because it's boring, your art's going to hit a limit. You're not going to grow past a certain part. You might be really good. You might be amazing at one point, but you're going to hit a stopgap, and it's going to be unfortunate because you're going to have to unlearn a lot of the things that you learned. Because I did that. That was me. I'm trying to prevent you guys from going through the same things I did. I'm giving you the guidelines because I did that. I spent years worrying about style and not worrying about solidifying what I understood to be drawing. So it took me years to unlearn all that garbage so that I could learn the real things. The type of marker that I use is a Stabilo Boss. It's nothing special, guys. It's just a pink highlighter. That's literally it. I just like the color pink. That's it. I got them on sale. They were like 50 cents, and I got a bunch of them. So eventually I'll run out, and I'll use another one. There's nothing special with the things that I use. Okay? I use a super cheap Bic pen. These are like the cheapest pens you can find. They are very good though. I actually really like drawing with them. And I have a little like squishy thing that I bought at an art store just so that my fingers don't get tired because, I draw a lot. So I'm drawing at least like 3 hours a day nowadays. So, and that's outside of like actual like projects. So I'm drawing like about 5 hours a day. I'll go over here some other time because I don't have more space on this page. And I want to keep it to one page a day. So I believe that we are going to call it a day tonight. If you guys haven't seen it, there's the little reel that shows how we drew this guy in like 30 seconds. And we talked a lot about really cool things today. We talked about style, eyes, perspective, noses, and how the beanbag is the ultimate motherfucking shape of the fucking art world. And you can master everything by literally just mastering how to draw a beanbag and subdividing it. Okay? Practice this week, guys. I promise you, practice doing this and you will see so much improvement so ridiculously fast that you are going to like just blow your mind. Okay? If you practice this for a week and you come back and tell me you haven't learned anything and you haven't improved massively, unsubscribe from me. Just tell me that I suck. But I promise you, practice doing this over and over in different ways. Change the beanbag, like squish it in different ways, and then find the shape for it. Squish it in different ways, and then find the angles for it. Learn to do that with the simplest shape, and I will promise you, your art will be at least twofold in like a month. Okay? I will literally throw the gauntlet in, and I will guarantee that. Okay, guys. With that said, I'm going to go work out because I am going to study my own anatomy. Ha 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 ha. No, I actually want to get really buff and I want to get physically fit so that I can make reference books really easily. But now I'm going to have to find a female model too because the plan was to do it with my ex-girlfriend, but she's not there no more. So now I got to figure that out. But that's for another day. Thank you all so much. If you guys do want to support and you guys do like what I do have 2 books out. You guys can find them in the links in my bio. One is a collection of my best sketches, and then the other one is a pinup book full of 60 pages worth of amazing collages of pinups that, all over like the ones that I've done over the last 10 years. My favorite ones. So those 2 books are out for sale. That is the best way to support me if you guys do feel like you got something from it. If not, you guys can always just go check out all my other social media and then make up your mind by then. Thank you all so much. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Rodgun the Artist. Catch you all later. See you tomorrow. We are going to be on Instagram in the morning. Actually, no. Actually, yes. My thing is not till 2. So I am streaming tomorrow. So I'll see you guys tomorrow on Instagram. See you then. Bye-bye.